So, first of all, I wanted to start the presentation by telling you something about the city of Burgas, one of the 5 pilot cities. It's very interesting. I think all 5 pilot cities are on the sea, which I think happened by chance. And Burgas is on the Black Sea coast. It has a population of about 200,000 people. It's the 4th largest city in the country. And it's also a very important transport hub, a center for tourism, culture, sport. About 60% of tourism, of tourists, actually come through Burgas, the Burgas region, because it's very close to a very big summer resort. So it is the biggest tourist center in the country. And Burgas is also a smart city. By that, I mean that we do want to have all the possibilities of new technologies, of smart technologies, helping citizens and helping us have a better city to live in. Oops. Apparently not very smart with these things. And our pilot is very technical. So what you're about to see in this presentation is fairly technical. It involves pipes, water pipes. So maybe not very exciting, but very important because everybody needs water. And water services are, if you think about it, probably one of the most important things of a city. You cannot have a city without a good sewage system. And so this is one of the big goals for Burgas Municipality, to have safe and efficient water supply. In this project, we cooperate very closely with the water supply and sanitation operator, in the sense that the municipality, in fact, owns the pipes. But the water supply, the water utility, is licensed to maintain the network, and so they give us, they're working with us to give us the technical expertise, the engineering expertise, in order to know about these things, because I'm not an engineer. And one of several pieces of data, they operate at about 40% of water losses, which is not a very good number. And about 80% of those are estimated to be from leakages and bursts, and about 20% from thefts. So the pilot is about this. It's about trying to minimize and decrease these numbers. All right. With that, I want to tell you about the use cases of the pilot. And I start with use case 2. This is how it's mentioned in the documents, but it's the simpler one. Sorry, I missed something. Yes, use case 1. So in use case 1, if you read this may not be very obvious, but what we want to do in this use case is to use this model. I think I missed some slides. Yes, sorry. So the objective of the model, it's to build and validate data models that will reduce water losses and maintenance costs. And further on, to optimize maintenance, repair, and replacement schedules. Maybe think of it that we want to synchronize these with planned roadworks. So if we want to dig up the road in order to replace a pipe, we should have this synchronized. And also when to replace the pipe. So the pilot will gather data from sensors placed in the pipe structure. They're not actually going to be in the pipe, but rather on it. And it will build a state-of-the-art model to predict leakages in 2 areas, which will then be upscaled, hopefully, to wider portions of the water distribution system. And why do I say state-of-the-art model? Because as it turns out, this hasn't really been done. So it's something very new and very innovative. So we're really sort of testing the boundaries. And so where is this thing going to happen? The first one is to look at a long pipe And you have the characteristics of the pipe. It's about 1.5 kilometers long, and it has historically had a very high burst and leakage rate, 13 in 2021. And so the goal is to use this model to identify bursts and leakages, and to identify them quickly. When you think about it, I mean, these things are identified, but it takes time. Maybe months, years before the water utility realizes there's a leak through water losses. So over this time, a lot of water is lost. With this model, we hope to be able to predict this. I mean, the data scientists say on the order of minutes. If it's days, I think this would be perfect. And this would help us really reduce water losses, because those leakages can then be quickly repaired. And as a consequence, we can then use the AI to solve a fairly complicated equation of how to optimize the maintenance, repair, replacement, look at different variables that affect this, and to make it the most cost efficient, and to make it in a way that it's least disruptive to the lives of citizens. The second use case, and this is how we do it. It describes the test that we have done so far. We have tested the situation in a lab environment with one sensor. And after the testing and some data manipulation, the results were an 88% success rate and an F1 score of 86%, which is very high, and very low rates of both false positives and false negatives, which is important. And forthcoming is a test with more sensors that measure not only vibration, but also water flow, and that will be carried out soon, which we hope will actually give us better accuracy for the model. Once we complete this testing, we will be installing the sensors on the pipe, so we can actually test this in a real life environment. This directly leads to the second use case, which is the water management system in a residential neighborhood. So hopefully, once we have identified ways, built this model of producing bursts and leakages, we want to improve it in order and differentiate them from thefts. The neighborhood is chosen because historically there has been a lot of water losses, proven thefts there, and so we want to also work with the local residents to engage them in order to prevent illegal connections to the mains, and thus further reduce water losses and keep water services affordable. What are our user policies? And this to us are the questions that we want to ask the AI and the answers we want to get, and how we can use the model. And I think this also shows you how the model can be exploited in different cities by different water distribution systems. As I said, first of all, to identify if there is a leakage or a burst in a specific section of the pipe or the network. And we'll use the data gathered by the AI model to identify this. Whether the section of the pipe shows high degree of wear and tear. In this case, we want to use historical data to determine the distribution. Normal is in quotation marks for statisticians because it's not a normal distribution, it's the usual distribution of pipe accidents. And use that to measure the deviation from it. And this would show us if the pipe maybe needs replacement, and then optimize replacement times. And number 4 is what I mentioned before, whether the water leakage, the water loss is due to accidents or theft. And we want to know this more or less in real time, not months and months after water usage data, meter data has been collected. And this is what this pilot is about. Fairly technical, but I think it has interesting potential to be exploited by other entities, municipalities, water companies.